Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Star Wars Meg, here to give you another Mandalorian Season 2 update. So we have a lot of things to get through today guys, but before I get into it, please may I ask you to hit like down below, to subscribe to my channel if you're new, and also please consider contributing to my channel by becoming a patron of mine on Patreon. But without further ado, let's get to our first news article. So the first piece of news comes from a confirmation of the exact times that the Mandalorian Season 2 episodes will drop on the 30th of October. So just as I predicted, it will be one a week. Some people were saying it'll be 2 a week. It's not. It's going to be one a week from the 30th of October till the 18th of December. But more about the importance of those dates later. Let's talk about the specific times you can expect it. So I'm going to go through the main time zones because I've worked out through my analytics the kind of audience I have based on you guys' region. So let's go through them. If you're in the UK, we can expect to have the episodes streaming just after 8 AM in the morning, which is a really nice sweet spot. We don't have to wake up super early. You know, I mean, again, it depends on what time you guys wake up, but I think that's a pretty reasonable time. We don't have to wake up in the middle of the night to watch them. And I will say that as soon as they stream, I will be doing a full breakdown of every single episode with Easter eggs and things you may have missed, so please join me for the ride for that. It's getting really close, guys.
That's what she said.
It's literally a month away. This is super exciting. So if you're in the EU, obviously it's 1 hour ahead. So for my German watchers and my Swedish watchers, and I know there's a few of you guys, it's going to be at 9 AM. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory if you're from this part of the world. As for my American viewers, this article from Radio Times states Pacific time and Eastern time. So if you are on Pacific time, you can expect The Mandalorian after 1 AM. If you're on Eastern time, you can expect it after 4 AM. As for my lovely Canadian viewers, unfortunately I cannot comment because they've not stated when this can be. I know there are 6 different time zones in Canada, so like I said, I literally am clueless as to what time this can drop, and I was looking for clues as to what time it dropped last time in Canada for Season 1, and I wasn't able to find any information. I'm sorry, but over here in Britain, I'm not too well equipped to answer any questions about Canadian time zones, guys, and since this article doesn't mention it, you'll have to forgive me on this occasion. I'm sorry. Our next Mandalorian Season 2 article comes from another theory about Sasha Banks, and yes, I know this has been done to death and I keep reporting on new theories that have come out about her, and as of now I still cannot figure out if she's a Jedi or an Imperial Inquisitor or a Sith sympathizer, or perhaps she's Sabine Wren, who knows. But let's take a look at this new theory because I thought it was interesting and I wanted to comment on it. So it states that there are a couple of obvious reasons why Sasha Banks might not be playing Sabine Wren. Even though this is the most popular theory so far amongst Star Wars fans, Redditor Aeroseed pointed out that as a Mandalorian, Sabine likely wouldn't be seen without her helmet. I have had a lot of people in my comment section actually mention this themselves. While she wasn't too hard pressed to keep it on in Rebels, the Mandalorian puts a lot of emphasis on that rule. The sudden appearance of a helmet-wearing scofflaw could undermine all that world building. What's more is that Banks' foreboding appearance in the trailer suggests her loyalties may not lie with the rebellion. Another theory by Redditor Hard Drizzle suggests that this character is someone who's never appeared in a Star Wars movie or TV show. Someone called Dr. Aphra. Before I go on, can I just say, a lot of these Star Wars Redditors have the funniest, most ironic names. Hard Drizzle. Let that sink in. Dr. Aphra is a comics character who became a fast fan favourite in the Vader comics, snagging a spin-off series of her own. She's a combination of Indiana Jones and Han Solo, an archaeologist who plays by her own rules and doesn't care who she works for as long as she gets paid. Such dedication to her own personal agenda, Dr. Aphra has allied herself with whoever she sees useful. She's helped Luke, Han and Leia escape a hypnotic evil alien queen and also served alongside Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader. Her appearance in The Mandalorian would make sense according to the Star Wars timeline, considering The Mandalorian takes place about 6 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. This would give young Aphra enough time to mature enough to be this hooded stranger. With her obsession with Jedi antiquities and weapons, the theory Season 2 will bring Mando to the Jedi sacred planet of Ilum would work well with her involvement as well. This wouldn't be the first time we've heard of a live-action Dr. Aphra show either. Back in December of 2019, before the plague, Making Star Wars editor Jason Ward told Inverse that filming on the show was already underway. We haven't had any hints in that vein since, but a Dr. Aphra cameo in The Mandalorian could be a springboard to a new standalone show. It's also possible the project being filmed was actually in the second season of Jon Favreau and Filoni's live-action hit, and Aphra plays a major role in the story. Listen, while it's a very interesting hypothesis and theory, let's be honest, the hooded character is not going to be Dr. Aphra. It's a very big stretch, and I know a lot of Star Wars fans like to go quite deep with the lore and legends material and expanded universe to try and hypothesize upcoming Star Wars content, but I'm going to say that this is not going to be her. I know I might be wrong on this, but I think this theory is just completely wild and far-fetched. So let's move on to our next news story, shall we? This one again is about The Mandalorian Season 2, and while I don't really have any more news that's really big and exciting and how Yaddle's second cousin and Yoda and Mace Windu's brother are going to appear, and while it's not so much big and bad and bada boom, bada bing, bada boom,
wow,
this one is still quite funny, so I wanted to share it with you guys. So it states that the Mandalorian actor jokes the reason he took part was for the wig. The first season of Star Wars The Mandalorian featured a surprising amount of comedic guest stars, ranging from Bill Burr to Adam Pawley. Sitcom fans also enjoyed the arrival of Asif Ali and Eugene Cordero in Chapter 4 Sanctuary, in which the hilarious character actors played a pair of villagers who needed help protecting their people from danger. Cordero, known by many as Pilly Boy from The Good Place, recently spoke with People about his role as Stoke in the first season of The Mandalorian, saying that he only took part because he loved the wig. Speaking with People, he states, "I mean, the reason I did that gig was not because it was Star Wars, it was because I got to wear a wig that looks really crazy," Cordero joked. "I mean, how could you not want to be part of something like this? And talk about a change in technology and how things have changed. There wasn't a single green screen when we were shooting on stage there. It was all monitors and it looked so real. It was like NASA and it was amazing. But to be able to act with Baby Yoda, well, the child, come on, that's the oldest actor I think I've ever worked with." There's no telling if we will see Cordero's character appear in Season 2 of The Mandalorian or potentially another future season after that. It would make sense to see Mando return to Sorgun sometime down the line, which would set up a reappearance for Stoke. What we can expect from Season 2, however, is the arrival of brand new characters to the show, some of which are from other corners of the Star Wars universe. So that was a pretty cool article, but every time I was saying the character Stoke, I was hearing Snoke, because as a fan who's personally still traumatized from the sequel trilogy, I cannot get over the fact that anything that starts with Sir and ends in Oak is Snoke. And speaking of Snoke, your favorite character, there is a news article about him involving a new theory, and of course I'm going to talk about it now. It has been nearly a year since The Rise of Skywalker, but as one aspect of the sequel trilogy that still eludes Star Wars fans everywhere, it has to be Supreme Leader Snoke, once poised to play the new big bad of the franchise, was abruptly sidelined for Palpatine's return before we were given any sort of backstory for him. However, a new theory suggests that the towering baddie's motivations ran a bit deeper than the typical galactic domination stuff. A Redditor by the name Skywalking on D's Haters, may as well call himself D's Nuts, theorizes that just as Kylo Ren idolized Darth Vader, Snoke idolized Darth Sidious. A love of Palpatine would explain a lot about Snoke, from the gift robes to the need for a dramatic entrance. The Last Jedi revealed Snoke had seen the rise and fall of the Empire, so it would make sense for him to see what Palpatine did and learn and improve, essentially one-upping the last great Star Wars supervillain. This would also explain Palpatine's confusing line in Rise of Skywalker, revealing that he made Snoke. Perhaps this wasn't as literal as many have interpreted it. Palpatine could have quote-unquote made Snoke through mere influence instead of manufacturing him as a clone. There's lots of visual evidence for this as well. Many elements from the sequel trilogy felt like one step up from similar elements in other movies, including the gratuitous use of oversized weapons, Force lightning, and Royal Guard's clan all over in the red. One of Palpatine's most defining qualities is his elitist sensibilities. As the son of a minor Naboo royal, he's never been afraid to go out of his way to appreciate art or drama. It would explain where Snoke got his taste for being so cryptic and foreboding with Kylo. He learnt from the best. Snoke's identity is one of the most speculated elements in Star Wars. While it is stated in the Rise of Skywalker novelization, it could turn out that Snoke was not a clone at all, just a Sith Lord wannabe who pushed himself to the limits of Force knowledge to the point of looking the way he does. This provides an interesting lens into the sequels, as the relationship would give Snoke and Kylo Ren a huge trait in common: obsessive admiration for Sith Lords. While Snoke looms over young Ben Solo, they're the same person at heart, just someone trying to find an identity in the shadow of the Empire. So look, this is really interesting, and I really like inverses analyses on things in general, but I think they're just trying to over-romanticize the poor planet that was the identity of Snoke. I thought in The Force Awakens Snoke was so cool, and by the time of The Last Jedi when he was killed, I was convinced in that moment that, hang on, they wouldn't just kill off the bad guy, and I thought, Snoke has a bigger arc, but little did I know that unfortunately, and I know a lot of you guys like the sequels, so I'm not going to crap on them too much. that Disney were going to use the cop-out option of just making him linked somehow to Palpatine as a clone. And it just really undermined his arc, and I know Inverse are trying to turn this on its head and find different angles that we can appreciate the character of Snoke, and perhaps it's not what it seemed, but I'm sorry, the novelization of Rise of Skywalker confirmed it, and so did the film. He was just a failed clone. Okay, that's all there is to it. So we can try and add depth and dimension, and if it makes people who did like the sequels feel better, please go for it. You know, I do the same with the prequels. I grew up when The Phantom Menace came out, and that was the first Star Wars film I went to see in cinemas, you know, as a little girl. So to me, it does mean something when people try to add depth to it, and I've done even so many theories on the prequel trilogy on my channel. So I do get where they're coming from, but I'm sorry to say this, Snoke just didn't have that much dimension to him. I know the Snoke comics were very fascinating, and I do urge you to go check those out. They have them on Comixology and on other places on the internet. But yeah, that's all I really have to say on that issue. So ladies and gentlemen, and everyone who is a Star Wars fan who watches my channel, that is where I leave you today. I really hope you enjoyed my video. And if you did, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're new. Consider becoming a patron. All that good stuff down below. I will see you tomorrow. I'm Star Wars Meg.